Alright y'all, let's get ready. I've already prepped my skin with my moisturizer, and I always put on a plumping gloss like while I'm getting ready because I haven't gotten lip injections since I made videos about it years ago, but I still like want plump lips without having to do that. So it's like I do what I can. So I'm just putting acne primer in my problem areas and then a regular primer all over my face. I'm not going to talk too much about what I'm doing as I do it because I want to talk to you guys about some other stuff. So I mostly want to talk about like makeup, consuming products, and how I felt with my tattoos covered. And it's really hard for me to do makeup and talk at the same time, but I'm gonna do it. I also can barely see because I don't have my glasses on. Can't wear my glasses while I'm doing makeup. All right, so first, I guess let me just talk about makeup and just like consuming things in the world that we live in. So I only buy cruelty-free makeup. I've only been buying cruelty-free makeup for a really long time. Like even before I went vegan, I was only buying cruelty-free makeup just because, you know, it makes sense to do that. But then, you know, we get into the whole, well, some parent companies test on animals, or you'll be using a brand and you love it, you stock up on a bunch of their products, and then you find out they sell to a company that tests on animals, or they get bought out by a company that tests on animals. So then it becomes this like pipeline of, you know, you're supporting a good brand, but then they're owned by not a good brand. But it's like, where does it end? You know, where does the madness end? And I say that even because, you know, you'll buy a vegan chicken nugget and they're partially owned by Tyson or like another company that's like very much not a vegan company. And I used to be very adamant about like, okay, I'm not using any products from companies whose parent companies test on animals. But I don't know about y'all, I'm kind of finding that literally impossible lately. Especially if you're like, you know, a baddie on a budget, it makes it even harder. And I think back and it's just like, this has been happening for so long, and it's literally, it just seems to be getting more and more difficult. And I don't use anything tested on animals. Like I'm talking about, like I go all the way, like toothpaste, mouthwash, shampoo, conditioner, soap, hand soap, even all the products that I use for my clients when doing hair, nothing I use is tested on animals. But I feel like it's kind of getting to the point where like it's unavoidable as far as the parent companies, and sometimes you don't even know that something gets bought out. It's like you have to literally become an investigator and be constantly doing research, and it's just so exhausting. And it's kind of like under the same line as like purchasing from fast fashion companies, where it's like we all need to buy clothes, right? And you think sometimes you're purchasing from an ethical company, but you're really not. It's just so hard because there really truly is like no ethical consumption under capitalism, and everyone just has to do what they can. Like I'm even trying to reduce like my waste, my plastic, but then it's like half of the vegan like meals and stuff that I buy, they're using so much plastic and stuff in their, you know, like a lot of the frozen stuff, it uses so much plastic. So yeah, I just want to mention that because I've talked a lot about stuff on my channel, and I feel like you kind of have to realistically just do everything you can to the best of your ability in this like super unfortunate circumstance that we, you know, have to live in, which is, you know, capitalism and dishonesty and companies constantly shuffling around who owns them, who runs them, who is the CEO. It's just like you literally can't win. And the reason why I also bring this up is because I have so much makeup, because I'm just the type of person that buys like 100 backup things when I like something. But now I want to try to switch to using more natural products. And it's so expensive to buy natural products. Like it is so expensive. It's hard enough to find products that are cruelty-free and vegan. Just that. And I know, you know, there's more brands that are coming out with things, which is great. And like some brands are switching over and becoming cruelty free, which is awesome. But it's like, okay, so your pool is that narrow. Then you want to take it a step further and do natural. Then half the products that say they're natural are not natural. They'll have like 2 organic ingredients in it and they'll be like natural, and it's not. So buying stuff that's like mostly natural, all natural, is so hard, and it's so expensive. And I'm just like, they really like, they just want us rubbing chemicals all over our face. Like that's what they want. So yeah, it's tough. And just, you know, involving any of this stuff, you really just have to do what you can and what you feel good about. For me, I feel so good with my choices, because even I've only covered like this much. There's so many things that I do for people, animals, and environment, things that I don't even talk about, obviously. So it's like I'm super comfortable with my choices, and y'all just need to be comfortable with your choices, you know? If you were to sit and put everyone's life under a microscope, there would be things that every single solitary person does that isn't ideal. You have to do everything you can. We only get a certain amount of information, and we just have to do with that what we can and what is practical for our own lives. Everyone's life looks completely different. Their resources look different. Their abilities look different. Everything. Everyone's life is so individual. So if you feel good about your choices, then that's all that matters, you know? And I feel so good about my choices, and I'm gonna continue, but I feel like I need to let y'all know it's okay to like change your mind with certain things. Like, for example, like buying secondhand leather. Like if you are a vegan and you wanna go to the thrift store or wherever and buy something secondhand that is made with an animal product, there are a lot of vegans that are like, that's not vegan. But then if you look at it from an actual like environmental standpoint, then that is vegan. That's actually better, like environmentally and as far as like sustainability is concerned, to buy anything secondhand, whether it's an animal product or not. And it took me a while to like evaluate that and understand that it's okay to learn new information, you know, let your opinions evolve and let your own personal choices evolve, because new information is constantly coming up. We're always learning stuff about what's going on in this world and what's better for this world and what's bad for this world. And nothing's perfect. Like now they're talking about like how, you know, certain like things like chocolate and almonds are sourced unethically. And it's like, what can you do in this world? Like you can't be 100% ethical in this world unless you're fully like living off the grid in the middle on an uninhabited island by yourself, growing your own crops. You know what I mean? And wearing makeup made from berries. Some Sprite. So it's just something I wanted to mention, because it's just, I mean, everything. What about medications? Like there's so many things. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Do what you feel is right. That's basically what it is at the end of the day. Like, do what you can with what you got. You know, every effort is important, and we should continue just building each other up in these efforts and working toward having a better society as a whole, coming together, instead of, you know, letting these things divide us, or policing each other, or, you know, so many of the other things that go on. This ColourPop pencil is so dry, like I have to press so hard to get any pigment out of it. I just ordered a couple of new ones. I want to try the e.l.f. one. Got my eyebrows microbladed like a silver gray color a long time ago, and I guess I thought they'd be like gone by now, but they're still there. So I just kind of like to cover the gray haze with this like taupe color. But I think once like all the silver is off the ends of my hair, I'm gonna get my microblading removed or lightened and then redone with like a brown, like the taupey brown color. And by the way, there's so much more I could say about capitalism and the way this world is, but I don't want to go off on a whole tangent in this video, so I'm gonna reel it in and move to the next topic. Okay, so tattoo cover up. When I covered up all of my tattoos with makeup. So how did I feel? So if you missed a few chapters, I basically started on the internet when I was a kid, so I didn't have any tattoos. And then my YouTube channel kind of went in the direction of like body modification, because it was just like a huge interest of mine. And I basically went from, you know, a kid that had a bunch of piercings to a young adult that had a bunch of piercings and slowly started getting tattooed. Well, I guess quickly started getting tattooed. I was a young adult that got a bunch of tattoos really quick and essentially documented my whole body modification journey like on the internet in one way or another. And then I became an adult, still a young adult, but you know, in my mid-20s, who started to have some second thoughts, especially once I got off of my medication. I experienced, I guess, what is known as ego death where I really started just like reflecting, questioning everything. And I'm gonna put in the cards and in the description like the videos that I'm talking about, but basically me oversharing on the internet about how I felt about being a tattooed person, and deep diving into like why I actually think I made the choices that I did. And it was really, really hard for me to talk about that. Like, it's very difficult. Did I use eyebrow gel? So people have been asking me like, have you ever tried covering your tattoos with makeup to like see how you feel, like to see if it makes you feel better or whatever? And I was like, you know, I really don't want to do that, because what if it makes me sad? Like, why would I want to look at myself knowing that I could never look like that? Like, to me, I was like, I'm just going to be torturing myself. And it would make me depressed. But my thing is like, you know, for the last couple years, like I'm still healing from things. Like I'm healing from things that I never talked about. And during that healing journey, I discovered a lot of self-forgiveness. So I did make an update video of like how I feel about tattoo regret now. But I wanted to talk more like specifically about how I felt with my tattoos covered up, because, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So when the Truly channel reached out to me and they were like, hey, we want you to be part of our Transform series where we give people basically like makeovers or whatever and see how they look in a different like aesthetic, or in your case, like with your tattoos covered and a different aesthetic. And I was like, you know what? I thought it was a really great opportunity. I was like, you know what? I'm excited. I think I'm at a place in my life where I'm doing so well, and I've learned so much about myself that I feel like I'm ready to do something like this. But I can't lie, I was super nervous. So if you haven't seen that, I suggest watching that first, because you can get my like actual initial reaction of of me seeing myself without tattoos for the first time. But it was also kind of difficult because it was in like an aesthetic that I normally wouldn't, you know, I would never wear like that type of outfit or whatever. So it was still definitely like a really great initial reaction. I didn't know how I was gonna feel. I really didn't. I thought it was funny at first because I just didn't, like the whole vibe just like wasn't me, obviously. And I felt like I looked like a mannequin. Like I felt like my skin looked like mannequin hands. I don't know, I just felt like a naked mole rat. But at the same time, like I felt like me. I still felt like myself in a weird way. Like, I don't know, it was weird at first, but then like also not weird. Oh, that reminds me. I have a video. I'm gonna insert it here. And it's the video of, okay, again, me getting ahead of myself. So when the filming crew left, I was like, okay, I need to see how I look without tattoos, like in my own clothes. And so I changed my clothes, and because of the outfit that they had me in, like I had to finish covering up the rest of my tattoos. So I had to do my stomach, and I had to do the tops of my arms and like the rest of my chest. I took a video to send to my friends and family, and this was basically my initial reaction. Y'all ready to see something weird? Yep. This is me seeing my belly button for the first time in a really long time. This is so fucking weird, but somehow not weird, because I got used to it really quick. But what the? So I think the weirdest part for me was seeing my belly button, because I haven't seen my belly button in 9 years. It's been just like a black hole. So that was strange, but I don't know, like I was looking at myself and I felt good and I felt confident, but I didn't feel that different. And that's what made me start to reflect a bit more, even more than I already had, because I'm like, I mean, this is just my era of reflection, basically. But I was like, you know, I do like wish I did things different. Obviously I have regrets, but I was like, I don't even think I look that different. Like, I really don't think I look that different. You know, I don't know why. I guess because other people only really wanted to ever talk about my tattoos, that it kind of just felt like it was the only defining factor of my appearance. Like, it's the only thing people ever talk to me about. And it's different when like I'm talking about it on the internet, because it's like I'm making content, like, and I was talking about something that interested me at the time. But it's different in real life, you know, when people treat you some type of way. At the same time, it's like, being that I had all of those reflections where I felt like I got tattoos to help me with my confidence and stuff like that, I realized that like I wasn't a confident person. But when I look at myself with tattoos or without tattoos, I'm confident. Like I felt exactly the same without tattoos as with tattoos. And when I sat there and looked at myself, I was like, I'm what makes me special. Like, just because my tattoos are like an easy topic for people to talk about, or like something that maybe initially intrigues people, like it's my personality that makes me me. And like, I'm sure I've gotten, a lot of opportunities because of my tattoos, and because, that is part of what makes me unique. But after having them all covered up, I'm just like, wow, it really is such a small part of my identity. Like, it really is. It's like a speck of my identity. And I guess, I don't know, because I made so much like tattoo content and stuff like that, it almost started to feel like my tattoos were like my only personality trait. Or not even that, but just like the only personality trait that people cared about. But I don't feel that way now. And I know it's not true. And I have made so many decisions in my life that, I just sprayed setting spray and it's dripping. I've made so many decisions like in my life, like all of us have, that, I obviously wouldn't make now. And I've done things I wish I didn't do, said things I wish I didn't say, just like any other person on this planet. And yes, although some of the things I wish I did different are displayed on my body permanently, it just like, I don't know, like, is that really the worst thing in the world? Like, at least most of them are good. At least I look good with them. And who's to say what other mistakes I would have made? Like, I know I could have gone down a very different and very, very, very bad and dark path where I, one way or another, like, fully know that I wouldn't even be here right now. So this was the outlet that I chose, and this is what made me happy at the time. Then it probably saved me from doing like other very destructive behaviors. And although some people might consider this, like a self-harm, destructive behavior, I don't know, like, it just could have been way worse, so I need to give myself some credit, like. And it also like helped me launch into having an interest that I could talk about that other people were interested in. Like, it created so many positives in my life, I feel like I'm rambling now, as usual. It's gonna be impossible for me to talk while doing this. Like, let me see. So I don't know. I feel like it was a very positive experience for me overall. And I think what was more interesting, which I did say in my last update, was like, I sent that video of me or showed it to people, clients, friends, and family, and so many of them literally didn't notice that my tattoos were gone in the video, which made me feel really good, and also reaffirmed that like it's not my defining factor. And I don't know, it just feels really good. Like, I'm so glad I had that experience. I feel like, it's not like I liked myself better without tattoos. I just felt the same. I felt equally good. But I think so much of the emotional reaction I had when making like the tattoo regret like discovery, I think so much of that emotion wasn't really like actually based around me regretting my tattoos and being so upset about my decisions. It was more me like mourning my inner child, really. That's really what it was. It was me, having an emotional discovery and giving the sympathy and empathy that younger me needed, and that my wounded inner child was coming forward and letting me know that she needed healing from adult me. And that's really what it was. Like, people will constantly, because I still make tattoo content, and people are like, I thought you hated your tattoos. I'm like, I never said I hated my tattoos. Those words never came out of my mouth. I said I regret making the choices that I did, and that sometimes I hated being a tattooed person because of how it's affected my life. But I don't mind talking about my like lived experience, with tattoos and being a tattooed person on my own time. I have no problem with that. I feel like, doesn't everyone feel that way about anything? Like, you want to talk about things when you feel like talking about them? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So I think a lot of people interpreted that video as me being like, I'm so upset with my decisions. Like, I hate how I look. Like, I wish I didn't make the, you know, decisions that I made, which is understandable because I was still going through the process. You know, maybe I made that video a little prematurely. But regardless, you know, it was the first, you know, stepping stone in my journey here. And end discovery, I guess, is like, not that I like am so miserable in, you know, in my body because of the choices that I made. It was really just like I just said, those emotions came from a place of somebody that needed to heal. The emotion I displayed in that video, like, wasn't like a, I'm so sad about my choices. It may have seemed that way at the time, but it really, really was just like a, my inner child was so, so sad. And I knew that, but I had no idea like how much work that I needed to do as an adult to heal my inner child. And it was really such a good thing that happened because it made me evaluate, you know, a lot of things in my childhood and my adolescence and things that I went through and how I felt and all of that stuff. And it does start to come out later in life. A lot of unresolved things do come out later in life, and that was just the form it took. And me having, you know, the tattoo regret was basically just the catalyst for the much needed healing of my inner child, which is something that I do continue to work on and probably will have to continue to work on for quite some time, you know? So yeah, I'm really happy with how that whole experiment went. I'm really happy with what I took away from it personally. I'm happy with the entire thing, honestly. It's funny because I originally thought it was just going to be such a negative experience, when in reality it ended up being such a positive experience and another step in my healing. Like, what? I don't know. I just think I was in the perfect like stage of my life and the perfect mindset to do an experiment like this. And I feel like there was more I wanted to say about it, but it's not coming to me at the moment. I hope what I said makes sense, like me trying to articulate how I feel about the situation. Lashes make me a new bitch, like. Also, I'm gonna try lower lash mascara today. See how this goes. And I already got it under my eye. That was my fault. I hate using powder on my under eyes, but when I'm trying to do like bottom mascara, I have to. Cause look, literally all I did was just put on mascara and blink. And it's already getting everywhere because my lower lashes touch the skin. So I obviously didn't do it today, but I did like an e-girl type of makeup look, which like kind of took me back because it was basically how I did my makeup back in the day, but just a more like polished, up-to-date version. So if you guys want to see that, let me know. You know what? I can put my glasses back on now. Oh my gosh, so I can do my lips. I can see clearly now, my glasses are on. Oh my god, was my hair messed up the whole time? Yes, obviously it was. Stupid question. So yeah, in conclusion, good experience, good things to come, I'm sure. My poor mom was so worried. She thought it was gonna send me into an existential crisis, and I don't blame her. She was so stressed. I don't know, man. I feel unstoppable. Like, I still have so many ups and downs, but after everything I've been through, I don't know, I feel unstoppable. I'm just looking at things through different lenses. No pun intended, but I am. I'm looking at life through a different lens, while also like taking care of myself and like managing my issues. Like, I'm so proud of me, and y'all don't even know it, like even this much of it, and obviously the help of the therapist. But I don't know, I've just done so much for myself and I'm working so hard, but it's making me feel so positive and hopeful and strong, you know? I've never felt strong. Like, I've told myself I was strong, but I am, and I'm getting stronger, and I'm so proud of myself. Like, I've accomplished so much in my life, but my biggest sense of pride just comes from the transformation that I'm making during this stage of my life, you know, just spiritually, mentally, and I don't know, I feel good as hell. But yeah, so I'm gonna do my hair, but I'm doing space buns, and that's gonna take me 20 years and 2 sore wrists, so I'm not doing that on camera. Well, I've been trying to do buns for like 20 minutes, and my wrist hurt, and I'm not accomplishing what needs to be accomplished. Just so you know. I've broken 3 bobby pins. Morale is low. I wanted messy buns. I now look like Minnie Mouse. I will no longer be completing this quest. Some days it works. Some days it does not. They're not even. Ow, my neck cracked. I give up.